gentlemen, this is Short Pants Free Radio. Gamers, get your ears on because we're blowing the speakers out.
Grimdark Live. It is time for Grimdark Live. This show is for the nerds, the outcasts, the weirdos.
And for short pants gamers?
No, not you.
Ah, crap.
Get ready, all you Grimdark goons, for dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf. Only right here on Grimdark Live.
Let's hit the fucking road!
Hey, welcome guys. Welcome to another show, Grimdark Live, your weekly webcast for all things dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf from the Warhammer worlds. And thank God we are not Slaphead and Booger Boy.
Thank the Green Lord.
Billy, Dustin, what do you say, man?
Age of Sigmar, 4th edition.
I never really know how to deal with that, folks. I really don't. I don't even know if I'll ever get used to it. But that's what they do. That's what Billy and Dustin do.
Yeah.
They're not going to say anything now. They can only sing. They can only sing. And if you guys noticed, we got the Noblar back with us.
Chief Noblar here, playing a little Minecraft. He'll be back on in a little bit.
He is definitely the show's general manager. He's going to make sure that we're all going to behave tonight, right, Lev?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Nope.
There he goes. Nope.
Yeah. Already off to a good start.
Yeah, see, he's definitely a goon. That kid's got a future. That kid's got a future. And if you notice, our daughter Arcane, Camille, she's not with us tonight. She's in a little bit of legal trouble. She was practicing her bikini trampoline routine. Caused a 17-car pileup just off of I-90, and there's rumors that there's a busload of midgets that are pretty. They were on their way to Spanish Fork, Utah, and they're.
It's not like they weren't short already. They all lost their legs. Tragic.
That's a short story. All right, but yeah. So tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about Cities of Sigmar in AOS 4.0. And we're gonna be looking at that army. We got another great list, and it kind of broke our chaos. We had a good chaos theme going. We went Beasts of Chaos, Slanesh, and Slaves of Darkness, and then the Nurgle's Rot got to any of our prospects wanted to come out and talk about it. But I think Cities is a good little break.
City, You know what? I know a lot about the lore. I had a lot of fun playing in 3.0. That's actually how I got started. I had a
That's true. That's right.
First army was the City's army.
That's true.
From a little bit of the one of our goons in the club bought some city stuff. Had some models left over from when I was a kid. Never really played, but did a little painting, a little building. So that was a fun start to my Age of Sigmar career.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that, Bill. I forgot about that. Have you ever played Cities, Dustin?
I have not.
Never.
I contemplated it because Dark Elves.
Oh yeah.
But I have not.
Yeah, he's more of a lady boys than a city kind of guy, but
Yeah, well, he's our original Daughters of Cain, and by the way, you should see him in heels. He's already like 6'500", so the heels thing it does scare children and elderly women, but we accept him for who he is.
That's the funny thing about the show is Dustin's sitting Indian style, I'm standing. And
right.
Obviously we're all still the same height at the table.
Exactly. And actually Dustin right now is in about a 4-foot hole.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's what the world needs. We need to see you and address a lot more, especially something skimpy.
You can find those pictures at SigmarSingles.com.
SigmarSingles.com.
Very soon.
You're quite popular on that site.
Apparently I am.
SigmarSingles.com, folks. Check it out. But, it's funny. Going back to Cities of Sigmar in AOS 4.0, I'm curious because I really think with the way that the old world has come out, and again, I'm before anyone gets crazy, I'm not knocking the old world at all. I do like it. I've got about 4 or 5 games or so under my belt, and it's good to get rank and flank back again. They've cleaned it up and all that shit. I've already said it before. I'm not going to say it again. Listen to Slaphead and Booger Boy. They'll say it a lot and bore the fuck out of you while they do it. So the thing is that, but I think for sure that Cities of Sigmar is definitely in for a big change when their book comes out.
They're likely going to be. The reason for it being, even now, there's no cohesion in the army, as we were discussing offset.
It's basically 3 armies in one book.
Yeah. It's a lot like the English language. It's a bunch of words cobbled together in a language that people kind of understand, but doesn't really fit together very well.
It's like when you say fuck it and you spell it with a PH.
See?
P is in pneumonia, P is in phone, right? That kind of thing. That's
it's
referring
like fat and fat. One with the F, and one with the PH. The one with the PH is good.
Ooh, look at that! Look at that fat ass! Look at that fat ass! Yeah, but I really think that
be thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to I just kind of want to talk about that tonight. Do you guys mind if we just talk about? Okay, we won't do that.
That's a great video. You can catch it on the Monday night show.
That's right. So you won't find that on Slaphead and Booger Boy, but our Noblar right now is eating all the oatmeal.
Calm down the oatmeal bites.
So, but the thing is, I think with again back to the old world, to the point that I never made because you brought up fat women.
Stuff with people and places, got it. Yeah.
I think with the way that the dispossessed, i.e. the dwarves, are getting moved over into the old world, I think dark elves are definitely in their way. And I know a lot of people are talking about Malekith's army that's coming down the pike and all this kind of stuff. But you know something?
They're clearly moving towards a rebranding to where essentially I think they're going to dump cities. It's kind of obvious.
You really think that? But you don't think with all the brand new miniatures that cities isn't going to...
That's what I'm getting at. So the brand new miniatures for the human side of it is going to be, for instance, the free cities is probably what they'll change it over to.
Yes. They might have variations.
God King cities or something
like
that.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to make it human-centric.
Yeah, they're going to make it human-centric.
Imperial Guard Astra Militarum for AOS kind of.
Okay.
You see that happen?
Yeah. So you think that they're really just going to go with the human faction, and that's it?
I think they're going to center around humans. They're going to basically be, the god folk, if you will, of the game.
I mean,
okay.
Basically,
they're going to follow 40K's storyline like
any of the new stuff they came out with. It's all Dawnbringer Crusade, humans. And any of the other, the dwarves or the elves, they're all older models.
Sure.
So 100%, I think that's
where
they're going.
It's sad to say because, you know what, it was such a popular army, especially in 2 and 3.
Right.
It's literally the soup army.
Yeah.
Hey, here's all these different units.
It could have been great together. It could have had an excellent flavor, and it did partially in 3.0 when you had Coalition because it made sense.
Yes.
Right.
You had all the different cities. It had a lot of flavor. You could mix in Stormcast at 1 and 4. Like the Living Cities was awesome.
Marathi took over Anvilgard and became Har-Koran. You could take cities of Sigmar and also have Dar's Kane in it.
Sure.
Which is pretty awesome.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I think we're going to probably see that. I think we're going to see the
Settlers Game that was afterwards.
Oh, that's right.
And that was a cool one too. Now the wizard spells in that list or that city, if you will, sucked. But everything else about it, mixing with Lumineth, was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, from a business perspective, good way to draw people in because they start buying models from the other armies.
Yep.
And then they start playing with them, and then it's, hey, I started collecting it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the next one.
Right. Yeah. It is a good marketing play. I'll be honest with you. I mean, and GW is, like we said before, they're a business first and foremost. More than anything. But it's interesting to me because Cities of Sigmar was always that army that I really enjoyed to play against. I never got into them myself.
Almost because.
The gun lines and
there was such a large variety amongst the players who played it. Like I was primarily a Hellheart player.
Yeah,
but you had a lot of people who played the Living Cities. You had a lot of people who played Guran.
Justin that would also always play. I don't know the actual name of the city, but it was always the steam tanks and guns and artillery.
Oh yeah, right.
And
Greywater Fasters.
Greywater Fasters.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked about Cities of Sigmar is there were almost too many options. So almost. Like no two armies would be the same.
Sure, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I don't know if they're going to do it in this book. I mean, what do you think, Dustin? Are they going to do it in this book, where you think that they're going to actually, expunge the dark elves, if you will, or the dispossessed? And do you think it's just going to be?
I think that's their ultimate plan. I don't know if they're. I don't think they're going to expunge the dwarves and the elves yet, but I think eventually they will.
Right. Right.
I think after Oathbreakers come out, after Valerian's army comes out, I mean whatever the heck that is.
Right.
I feel like when those happen, then I think you're gonna kind of have all the elves together, all the dwarves together. And then you'll have the Cities of Sigmar. That's kind of all the humans together. So.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how it takes, because what's funny is even though I saw a lot of in previous edition in 3.0 there was a lot of Cities of Sigmar lists, but I didn't see a lot of I didn't see a lot of dwarf hammers with I didn't see a lot of mixed armies. I mean one of the coolest lists I saw was I didn't actually see it on the table, but it was a concept list that one of our club mates Steve came up with. Was a complete dark elf list, executioners, And it was, but my whole point is, the witch elf sorceress on the Black Dragon and all that.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a lot of mixed armies.
In the 3.0 one, and even in 3.5 before they switched it, if you took a Dark Elf Sorcerer with Word of Pain, it was an excellent spell. If you stuck her next to Hurricanum, she got the +1 to cast.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff like that where there was at least some level of cohesion where they could play off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the new edition, where you can take some of the orders, or the Afakar orders, which is a terrible name, terrible. Shame.
Just make it officer orders.
Just make it officer orders. Stop. Don't come up with stupid words that you don't need.
Sure.
Now, that being said, but there's really no cohesion in this one at all. Because again, if you want, it's not like you could have a human hero and then have for instance, an Ironbreaker line, and then have dwarven bows behind you or something.
Yeah,
you can only take human heroes with human.
Compatriots. Right.
You can only take elves with elves, dwarves with dwarves.
Well, that's
you can take varied regiments, but then again, that defeats the purpose of what it was actually supposed to be, which is a hodgepodge of people trying to survive together.
Yeah. And that's kind of a telegraph statement by GW, wouldn't you think? I mean, if there's no cohesion, you can't build an army that way. I mean, they're kind of telling you without tell me you're going to break the book apart without telling me you're breaking the book apart.
Yes,
right. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. But the funny thing is, like, we got a comment here on the chats. It said from Haroon, "Hey Haroon, I'm really glad to see that you're out of therapy and the methadone clinic worked out for you, buddy. Glad to see that you're back, and it's good to see that you're actually not you're that Tourette's thing when you would type on here before. That was horrific. I mean, it was amazing. I learned a lot of new words from that guy. But
you could treat that with ivermectin.
Yep.
So, but the funny thing is that he's talking about here that the Dark Elves won't move, but they're going to be rebranded, and obviously he's talking about the Malekith army that's going to be potentially coming out or whatever that is.
That's what we're getting at. They're going to slowly just take chunks away until it's just humans.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
and
but
maybe Stormcast, where you kind of blend it together.
Sure.
But do you really think dwarves are going away?
No, they're going to get rolled into a new army with Fire Slayers,
Caradhran Overlords, Fire Slayers, something like that.
There's going to be some kind of coalition with that, where it's going to be just straight dispossessed Fire Slayers and then Caradhran Overlords, and hopefully they'll do some kind of coalition thing with that.
Yeah. Do you think though? And I'm stretching on this one, and I don't know if I'm even right on this, but do you think with all of so take like a lot of the Dark Elf miniatures, take a lot of the dwarf miniatures that are out now. A lot of those dwarf miniatures came out pre and during 8th edition Fantasy Battles. So we're going on 6, 7, 8 years ago. The Black Dragon, the Witch Elf on a Black Dragon, or I keep saying that, the Dark Elf Lord on a Black Dragon. Those came out close to 10, 15 years ago.
Which was crazy, even compared to the new dragons. The Black Dragon is still a cool model.
Right.
The Wood Elf Dragon was still to this day, still a cool model. The High Elf Dragon is still a cool model.
Right. But I'm wondering if what we're going to see is GW as a business move away from the old, say, fantasy models, and they're going to have a crop of new models for Age of Sigmar, and they're going to bring all the old stuff back to the old world. Do you think they're really going to do something like that?
100%. I feel like that's where they're going eventually.
Because it has to do with IP branding.
IP branding.
Because if they ever want to slice a game off, it has to be differentiable.
Okay.
Well, you have to be. I'm sorry, that was speaking of dumb English. You have to be able to differentiate the actual models.
Right.
Apart from the other.
And also, it's just using the Dark Elves as an example. Even though they're currently legends in the old world, I see them moving back there because again, Warhammer Total War.
Right.
It 100% makes sense for them to take everything that they temporarily put in AOS and put it back into the old world. Because also it does give them the freedom to copyright new things, but also to create new models.
Sure.
I mean that's.
But and again, if GW would move over to a system where they would sell the 3D printers, the IP, let you do your own STL prints, provide you the filament, then they could make as much IP as they want and sell it, and it'd be a lot better business.
And that's probably a great topic for another show. The future of the game, or something like that. But and it's funny because
next week, guys, we're talking about the future of the game.
3D printers.
3D printers.
Yeah, and but
love them, hate them, throw them in the garbage. Can't make a hot dog with them yet. Moving on.
Who's playing with their wieners? So, but I think that they're always playing with their wieners. Yep. So I think that.
I wonder if it's like midget wiener, where it's like you got a person who's 4 foot tall, but the penis is still like 6 to 8 inches.
So like every time they roll over in bed, they pole vault into the closet.
Yeah.
Something like that. Sure, I can imagine that.
Just like, it's like, yeah, they look at us, but on them it's like, whoa. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobblers.
Nobblers.
Yep.
Yep. So, all right. So, Cities of Sigmar.
SigmarSingles.com.
Cities of Sigmar, singles.com. So,
Cities of Sigmar.
It's interesting to me.
Marked over, folks.
It's interesting to me what the army, or what the army, Cities of Sigmar, if they're even going to be called that, they probably will. But what that's going to look like in the next edition, I'm curious to see what that book is going to be, because I think out of all of the new books that are coming up, right, and we've already kind of got a peek of the fucking Stormcast. We've already gotten a peek of what the Slaves of Darkness are going to look like. What other books? Anything else has come out?
I think Slaves of Darkness is the next one after.
Right. But I mean, as far as sneak peeks, right? Skaven. Yeah, Skaven. We saw Skaven. I forgot about that. But I think, for me, I'm probably most curious to see what the new evolution of Cities of Sigmar is going to be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it'll probably be more, like I said, it's going to be completely human-based. And then likely you'll be able to ally in Stormcast to some degree or another.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's we'll definitely have to see. But ahead of that, man, we got an announcement week. We got again. We're going to talk about it here again. November Nightmare. That's going to be happening November 23rd, 2024, at the VFW in Lockport, Illinois. All the proceeds are going to go to support the VFW. It's going to be a split room, 1-day tournament, 3 games, and we're looking at half 40K, half Age of Sigmar. And it's $40 a person, so not a bad deal to support the VFW. Plus, we're gonna have the Grilling Guru back out. Many of you guys remember that guy from Armed Forces Day, now called Brawl in the Hall. And we're gonna have different stuff going on. You know, great drink specials and all that kind of stuff. So you roll dice and get drunk and eat good food and all for charity. So. And so it's going to be a good time. So that's November 23rd, 2024, November Nightmare at the VFW in Lockport, Illinois. You guys can head over to Best Coast Pairings and sign up. And we still got some spaces open, so I look forward to seeing everybody definitely out there for that. But first we gotta keep the tradition going here, guys. We gotta show one of our commercials here.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So goons, we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna get into the state of AOS 4.0, leading into Cities of Sigmar review. Stick around.
Am I the only one who thinks love should come with a +5 charisma boost? Introducing SigmarSingles.com, the only dating site where your chances of finding love are as high as rolling a natural 20. Whether you're into painting miniatures or strategizing your next battle, we've got a match for you. Post classified ads, create profiles, and dive into the world where Warhammer Age of Sigmar fans unite. And if love isn't your primary quest, fear not. You can buy, sell, and trade your miniature armies and collectible cards. Why settle for a mundane date when you can find someone who'll appreciate your army of Skaven? So, log on to SigmarSingles.com today and let your nerd flag fly. Because nerdy love is the best kind of love. SigmarSingles.com, where your next date could be your next battle buddy.
All right, so Cities of Sigmar, Age of Sigmar 4.0. So before we get into the list, I mean, we've kind of warmed it up by talking about the potential future of what the army is going to look like moving forward in the game. And I agree, it's probably going to be all humans. Because you know what's funny is, could you even right now, and I mean, obviously, Bill, you're more experienced with Cities of Sigmar than, say, Dustin and I are from a player standpoint, but is it even feasible to actually put together a list, a competent, qualified list of the army itself with, say, playing just dwarves or just dark elves or something like that? Could you actually have a 3-2, a 4-1, a 5-0 major GT?
It's sad to say you are actually better off. Now, I didn't do that with this list because I like variety.
Right, I noticed
You're better off running straight humans, straight elves, or straight dwarves. No, I did more.
No gay ones?
Sorry, what?
No gay ones, all straight?
Listen, I'm not picky.
Neither am I. I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. You thought the same thing, didn't you?
This is like the old school military. They didn't ask, I don't tell.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so fine. So you meant uniformed. Everyone's the same.
Uniforms.
Gotcha.
Same
okay.
height,
All right. Yeah, gotcha. I thought fine. Sorry about that. All right. So you're straight.
Orientation not required.
All right.
They can use a Jim Chi Zhao Zhu, banana peel, left nut. I don't care.
All right, so go back to what you were saying before you derailed my thought.
Yeah, right. So if you want to make the perfect fries, remember to add oil. Oh, never mind. My apologies.
Damn it, they were good. All right, so
Anyway,
but you're thinking
you got to run straight humans, straight elves,
Right.
or just straight up dwarves.
And do you think though that but my point is we know that I mean Cities of Sigmar right now comparatively with all humans, they're not doing too bad.
They're not doing bad. That's my point, because you got good. The Fusiliers are great at shooting. The cannon's good. The Huracan has always been great. The only thing that sucks about the Huracan now is it used to have a wizard keyword before and it could cast spells. Now it's obviously the shooting on it's still great. It still provides some other general benefits, but there's no wizard on it anymore, which is a bummer. That was one of the cool things before is when you would run it like a castle army, especially in 2 and 3, you would move the Huracanum up with your foot soldiers, with your halberdiers. You'd have your crossbows or somebody else, or your gunners behind that, and then you'd have your wizards just flinging magic.
Right.
Wizard on a mount, basically.
Yeah, it was a wizard on a mount.
Doesn't it still give a bonus cast, though?
It does give a bonus to
not a
cast,
wizard
but it's not a wizard itself.
Okay.
Now, before, when it gave that bonus to cast, it was +1 to cast, or it had another cool ability. Previously, especially in Hellheart, where it could take damage. It was a spell you could have. It could take damage, and then whatever that D amount was, you add that plus casting to everybody around it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So you could get like 13, 14, 15 off for the spells.
Yeah.
So and again, which was great when you had the sorceress and you had other wizards.
Right.
Because then it was, until they changed the keyword and then they got rid of it to where you couldn't use the sorceress, but it was still cool. Well, you could, because when you could cast virtually, you had your whole magic phase. There was nothing you could do.
Yeah.
And which was even great against Tzeentch at that time because they had a 5-up ward for spells, for all magic. So that was the heyday of Cities of Sigmar when you could just do some cool stuff. Now,
cool combos.
Yeah, awesome combos. Like when you used to run the Cogsmith behind if you wanted to run a tank list, and you had the Cogsmith behind them, or you even had 1 or 2 of them, and they had a special ability where it was fix any iron well. So if they took damage and it being a tank, the tank commander could heal other tanks himself. The Cogsmith could heal D3 to something, as long as it was iron well.
That's right.
So if you ran tanks and gyrocopters and Cogsmith, and you had gunners around you, there was a lot you could do, and it was just fun. And that's why, to your point, you said, "Oh, well, it was fun playing Cities people." They were all different.
Right. Yeah. They were.
Everybody played slightly different. Everybody could have that
There's
flavor.
so many options.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
But
they were cohesive.
Yes.
Because the dwarf would work with the humans.
Yeah.
So let me catch up to you. You still have a wizard though on the Huracan.
No. There's no spells with the Huracan now. It's not a keyword. There's no magic.
And so it's not a hero or anything like that.
It's a hero. You can take it as a hero, but there's no wizard on it. From what I remember,
it's a war machine also.
It's a war machine also. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there you have it. I mean, actually here I'm looking at this right now and it says the battle. Oh, so you can get a battle mage on a Luminarch, right? Mm-hmm. You can get
unless I read that wrong earlier and it's still that way.
So let me see here. Can you get a battle mage? I think you can get a battle mage on. I'm not sure, but
battle mage on Celestial Huracan.
Okay.
Oh, so I did read that wrong. Then.
Okay.
So that's on the hero side, and you can take him as a war machine without the hero.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So just like before though, you could still take it as a. You could still take the war machine previously in 3.0. Got it. Yep. Okay. All right. Just want to clear. So I mean, but the thing is,
him in a while.
But I mean, and this is why we're going to look at a list because I think actually, and Bill's got this weird way of doing this, guys. You can come up with a list or do something like we were talking about in previous shows with your Beast of Chaos, where you haven't played in 4 months and you show up to a tournament and you go 4-1 with an army, and you've got a weird way of putting together lists, and it's actually it's a pretty neat talent. So amongst the other ones you still have to go to court for, but that one is not a felony.
Tickets are paid. All right, just want to put that out there right now. No time, all time served. So I'm in the clear. Just got to make sure I get there on time.
That's it. So, but I think, but my whole point, my question is that do you think you could be successful? Everyone's playing humans right now, so I get that they're the new, new hotness and the new miniatures. But do you think you could be successful? Because dwarves, they move for shit. They're 4 inches. They don't move at all. I really don't have a good radar on if you were to play all Dark Elf lists. Yeah. I would think though that Blackguard would still be good.
The Corsairs with the Dark Fleet Master, and if you're still running the Hydra, Caraboss, that stuff's still great.
Okay.
So because now you don't have the Dark Elf crossbows anymore. That's gone.
Right.
But there are still some advantages to running them. You still get some cool utility out of them. Now the dwarves are really kind of the unsung heroes here, in my opinion, because now the Hammerers give everyone around them a 5-up ward. They got a 3-up save.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you got a
That's
runesmith,
really-
they got 2 attacks, right, for an extra
really
20
durable,
points
yeah.
over the Ironbreakers, and the Ironbreakers don't have the throwing satchel anymore, which is kind of a bummer.
Right.
But so if you were running straight dwarves, and you literally had gyrocopters, a cogsmith, because the cogsmith has special abilities that they can couple with the gyro bombers and the gyrocopters. So if you want mobility to tag objectives, gyrocopters.
Yeah, right.
You got a 12-inch move, and I believe the cogsmith can actually increase and improve that movement.
Right.
Wow.
So.
But I know that speaking of, and this is kind of where my thought's going, because I was almost ready to say something very similar to what you just said as far as dwarves. I totally agree
But
with
again,
you.
the hammers, the 5-up war and 3-up save. That's just for 150 points, 300 on a reinforced unit. That's a
bargain.
Yeah.
It's going to take them a while to get to the objective, but when you get there, you're
Yeah,
not getting
I mean,
off.
well, if you got the end of the spell, the
Correct.
bridge, and if
So
that,
now,
and so
if you get right, and so if you take an auxiliary unit, let's say call it a wizard, so you're not going to win on the drop side of it. But as long as he can get that spell off a Soul Screen Bridge and send your dwarves across,
Yeah.
that's not a bad deal.
right, and so, but also too on the other side, speaking of the dark elves, you put a dark elf sorceress anywhere within, I think it's within combat range of say a unit of Black Guard,
Yeah, she can
they get a
counter
5+ ward save.
Yeah, and she can sack him to get the extra casting.
Yeah.
Which, having done something similar to that in Warhammer Fantasy, I'm glad they kept some of the older stuff.
It's a cool feature
It's
that,
cool feature.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's different. But yeah, if you want to run a straight Dwarden list for Cities of Sigmar, and you had one auxiliary, and this is the only little bit of cohesion you get out of it, one auxiliary unit, where it's a wizard, just so you can get, for instance, Soul Screen Bridge off and any of the other manifestations that come with it.
Sure.
It's advantageous to move them around. But in the event you don't want to do that and you run gyrocopters, that's how you're going to be tagging your objective.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, would it be worth it if a player's going to get into the game, or do you think it'd be risky? I'm kind of experiencing this as a side note. Getting into the game.
If you're going to get in the game, I know exactly where the question is going. Just run straight humans. If you
Okay,
want to
right.
push them.
So you wouldn't, if a new player came up to me and they said, "Boy, I really like this Cities of Sigmar jam. I want to get this army in." Your advice, Dustin, and your advice, Bill, would be
the book. Buy the starter box. Starter box is always where you get your best value.
Yeah.
Wait for the book. See if they don't tear it apart.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you wouldn't even recommend Dark Elves anyway, because I really think if you were to put together, and again, folks, we're talking about Cities of Sigmar here, but I think like dwarves, I'm only a little nervous about their movement.
Yeah, that 4-inch movement, but
The elves are a 6-inch move, and at least they got magic where you don't have to take an auxiliary unit. I think, so you take something like a couple of Black Elf sorceresses, you put them in with 2 reinforced units of Black Guard. Maybe you got an extra Executioner unit floating around back there with a couple of, chicks on dragons.
That'd be
I
solid,
think
yeah.
that'd be a pretty solid list, but,
Yeah.
what a shitty thing to do to get into the game, paint it all up, get all the, and then bam,
Yeah,
everything's into the old world.
The only hope
Yeah.
you would have for that is if you do go that route, that they send it over to the old world, you can start in the old world then.
Well, and that's kind of where I kind of thought my thought process on that came from the Gloomspite Gits, because
Yeah.
for a long time I wanted to do a full spider army. Right now I have every single miniature to make a kick-ass 2,000 point all spider army. Now, is it going to be great on the tabletop and all this kind of stuff? No. But you know what?
It would be fun.
Yeah, but I got a feeling that those old spider miniatures are going back to rank and flank.
Especially because they're in the white boxes. They're not in
Correct.
They haven't updated
Yeah.
the boxes for the new edition, which is always sometimes kind of
Yeah, hey GW, tell us what units are leaving without telling us what units are leaving.
Yeah, all the Dragon Ogres I bought for 3rd edition, they were all in the unprinted boxes, and it's like, oh. 'Cause they
Now you know
never-
why.
Now I know why.
Yeah.
'Cause they never re-released.
So stay away from
Boxes.
white boxes, folks, if you're looking for longevity in an army in this particular game. I guess that's the message.
That's kind of silly, but also it's proven true.
And I think in a way, I think it's a bad business model. And I'm gonna segue here for a minute, then we're gonna get into the list. But I think it's a bad business model for GW to kind of do that.
Yeah.
I know they got to sell miniatures. I know they got to sell their plastic. It's plastic crack. I get it. But I think they should be able to say to you, hey, guys, these are some of the changes that are going to be coming up in the game. Because I don't know. I think
pulling the
when you take a
carpet out
2,000,
from under you,
yeah,
right?
I think when you take a 2,000 point army that can be anywhere between $600 to $800 or more.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for some kid sitting in his
not
stepdad's
even-
basement eating cold meatloaf to have to shell out. I mean, that's
Not even including your time commitment.
right.
So now
learning the army, painting and building it. Yeah,
you learned all the lore, you had fun with it, and then they just kind of pull the rug out from under you.
right. Yeah,
All the sacrosanct miniatures that.
bingo. Great point.
It's for an army that still exists. Well, we're just going to kind of get rid of these and redo the models
Sure.
to almost be the same thing. But again, I don't have a problem with new models. I don't have a problem with that. But it's like you got rid of models that aren't even that old. Like they're like 6 years old,
Sure.
and we're still using 20-year-old models.
Well, I mean, and that's my point about the Spider Riders and all that, and I think that's where I think a lot of the Dark Elves are probably going to go that way.
They're going to get rebranded as, like you
But
guys were saying.
I would happen to think too. You take a unit of even Dark Shards or something like that in that army, I think that would be probably just as good as humans, if not a little bit better.
See, that's the thing with that's what I'm sad about with the cohesion side of it is, if you just they're basically, it's like we said, it's 3 armies in one, but they're all just clones of each other, slightly different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, because honestly, I really thought about playing. Are all the Dark Elves in white boxes? They're in white fucking boxes, aren't they?
That I'm not sure.
All right. Anyone in the chats, let us know if
Seems a little sus, a little too white to me.
You know what? I really. Hey, Haroon, would you help out here a little bit and tell us if the Dark Elves are in a white fucking box or not? Help us out here, Jagoff. So, I think this is. I think I'd like to know this because honestly, I got a weird. But I do this. I do this. I screw up every army I want to build because I play what's cool, and then I'm pissed off because I go 0-5 in a tournament.
So if you guys want to lose your army, if you really want to waste your investment, follow what Pat does.
Exactly.
This is great, God.
Yep.
All right, now I'm going to move on to this.
Hey, Pat.
Yep.
So because you want to play what's cool.
Yeah.
But what army is really cool? Dark Kane.
You want to lose your army, Dustin?
Nope.
Here's the thing.
You better retract that statement.
You know what? Here's the thing. Yeah, don't do that. I'll not only will I fuck up your reputation, but that army's ability to win. No, I think that I would like to see that personally, but I got to think. I have a feeling that the Dark Elves are probably going to go back to Legends or Old World.
They're going to go back to the Old World,
and then you're going to see this Malekith army come out, and they're going to have a whole new line.
Whole new look, whole new line. Mm-hmm. Similar aesthetic, but obviously different.
Yeah. Okay, so Haroon did say yes. So all the Dark Elves are in white boxes. They're direct. So yes, they're definitely on their way out.
They're on their way out.
Just like the spiders are. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, I guess I gotta play with what wins. That sucks. No. All right. So good stuff, man. Well, here
Pat, the old meta chaser.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
sure. Right. Yeah. I'm over here telling midget jokes on a Warhammer show because I'm just so fucking good at it. But but if they wanted to, who they can go listen to, guys, if they want good Warhammer content.
Us.
I tried to set you up for that. Yeah, us. Not Booger Boy and Slaphead. That's fucking boring. But here, check this out, guys. This ain't boring.
What I wish I knew at the dawn of the Age of Sigmar is that even the most ferocious gods can have a softer side. Intrigued? Welcome to the Khorne Blood Bank. From the battlefield to the boudoir, our esteemed Chaos God Khorne has turned over a new leaf, or perhaps a new blade. Once the harbinger of relentless slaughter, Khorne now channels his sanguine enthusiasm into a cause most noble, providing vital blood to the valorous and the virtuous alike. Imagine, if you will, a place where the blood of countless battles is meticulously collected and redistributed. No longer a mere symbol of chaos, but a lifeline to those in need. Whether you've had a skirmish with a Scarfen or a tiff with a Tzeentchian, Khorne's Blood Bank is here to ensure you remain in fighting form. So, dear friends, remember this. Khorne cares not from where the blood flows, only that it flows to those who need it. Join us today and be a part of this sanguine revolution.
All right, sorry about the technical difficulties, man. That was the connection between the seat cushion and the keyboard. But here we go. We're finally going to get in with the list review for the Cities of Sigmar. And Billy, you put together a pretty cool list, man.
Like I said, I like the variety. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
and it's pretty balanced too. Just I'm not going to steal your thunder, but just overall, you have a good amount of
GW stole my thunder. My thunders.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a good amount of.
Man, what cool models too, especially when they had the dragon muskets.
Yep.
Oh man. when they moved to the new flame cannon, had the dragon head, the organ gun. Man, they had some cool
That'll all be
stuff.
back in. Well,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
already is back. I
You
mean,
know
for the
what?
most part,
I wish
the
I
organ
would
gun
have
I mean,
never
back
traded
in
away
the old
my
world.
original flame cannon, where it was the barrel with the flames on it. That was such a cool model.
You know, for all this talking about the old world, we got to start doing a show on the old world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Really,
we
at a
can
minimum-
incorporate midget humor and,
Yeah.
you know,
At a minimum, battle reports. That would be fun.
yeah. All right. We'll figure that out, guys. We'll figure that out. But let's get into the list because I think there's a lot to be discussed here. So you got 1990 points out of 2,000. It's a 2-drop army, Ironweld Guild army.
For the reason you get the extra +3 to your shooting.
Aha.
So now they got a 21-inch shot on the gunners, whatever the real term is.
It's any shooting unit.
The
Any,
flagellants.
like, cannons.
No, flagellants are the guys who
That's
whip themselves. Yeah,
the gunners. Why am I drawing a blank?
yeah. They got a specific name.
But they're not in your list.
No, yeah, they are.
Fusiliers.
Yeah, the Fusiliers.
Fusiliers.
Yes.
I should have 2 units of Fusiliers. And
Yes, you
Ironwell
do.
Cannon.
Yes,
yeah.
you do. Okay. Free Guild Fusiliers.
Yep, Free Guild Fusiliers. So now they got a 21-inch shot instead of an 18-inch shot.
Right.
The cannon, which was 24 previously, and now has a 27-inch shot.
Nice.
So that's your hero snipe right there.
Okay.
Because now it gets 2 shots as long as you're in a fortified position. So theoretically behind this list specifically is you're going to set up close enough where you can reach out and touch their whole army with the first regiment. Your second regiment is your slow capitalization regiment where you're going to get out there and actually steal objectives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're not, once the dwarves get to them, you're not getting them off.
Okay. So I liked how it's interesting how you got this thing started out. So you got your general's regiment. Your general right off the bat is this Fusel Major on an ogre Warhulk, which, you know, think about that for a second. Let's just kind of step back and think about it.
Hilarious.
That'd be fucking awesome to see. You know, could you imagine? I mean, that would be. I mean, first of all, it's an ogre. I'm a huge fan.
It would have been better if it was an
Ogres-
ogre with a cogsmith on top. That would have been
Yeah.
way more hilarious.
That would have been way. Oh yeah, Master Blaster.
The Master Blaster.
Master Blaster.
In order to get you to play Order, we need to have more of these ogres.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
That would be
absolutely.
awesome.
I would play the hell out of this bunch of ogres. But I like this.
I mean,
I like
they do that
this.
40K anyway. So.
Well,
Well, I mean, here's the thing. This ogre, you know, again, I'm going to use my famous line: hits harder than Winter on Welfare. It's got a 3+ save. You know, as a general. I mean, a lot of times. I mean, so you're
Plus,
possibly
the general also has a snipe shot as well, which
right,
is nice.
right. But I mean, you're talking about the Fusel, the long Fusel.
Yep,
I mean, you're talking about it. It's got an auto wound, critical auto wound, and an anti-hero +1 red.
correct. So
So
now
there's your
not only
snipe.
can you hit him with the cannon, you can hit him with his little sniper rifle.
Right.
So if they try to get within, so basically you're going to set that regiment up more, just theoretically, it's called a split board.
Right.
More to the left flank, you're going to set the dwarves up to the right flank. The dwarves are going to slowly move and crush along the way.
Yep.
That's why the Rune Lord actually has the heroic item, or the heroic treasure, if you will,
Right.
where he can bring back 3 models a turn.
Okay.
So in these, if you do manage to kill some of them, you're going to bring them right back.
Yep.
So the hammers are already nasty. You're going to have some of the grudge rake, or not grudge rakers, the iron
Drakes.
Iron drakes
Yeah.
right behind them, just so you get that little bit extra shooting and kind of keep them away. Now, if they do get into combat, you're not going to win against them. Period. That regiment's around to
Right.
stay. If
Right.
you try to get towards the other one, they can shoot back. And when you do the counter fire, covering fire, 2 of them can shoot based on the general.
So are you going to go back to? Are you going to be using the Soul Scream Bridge? Because I think if you were to get that
now,
off,
if I dumped the
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna say-
what is it called? If I dumped the flagellants and I took an auxiliary wizard,
right?
just for that reason, and that would be another way to run the list.
Yeah, 'cause I just
like
noticed-
the flagellants as your silly little screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, they can get a little bit better movement as you kill them. They hit a little bit harder, so you can catch the objectives right in front of you with them without the fear of losing them, because anybody that comes within range of them is getting shot off the board.
Yeah, because it's interesting. You don't have a wizard. I just noticed that. I'm just really.
There's a couple different ways you could run it. A wizard would be good for the dwarves, for the Soul Scream side, because if you could launch them all over the bridge.
Actually, you know what's funny is the more I look at this list, you know, if I have a wizard, right, and I got a bunch of Iron Drakes, I know my opponent because I've seen this happen to me 100 times, and I almost tried to play an all dwarf cities list with a
that
very
was
similar
nasty
concept.
in 3.0 when they were doing that.
Yeah, but that's very
your
telegraphed.
Your Iron Drakes
That's
were a lot better at that time.
yeah, they were, but you're also telegraphing what you're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, your opponent's on the table, looks over, sees your bridge. There's a wizard. He already knows what he's got to do.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, and I think in the days of like Bellicor and shit like that, I mean, that's going to get shut down, and then your 4-inch little guys with your BB guns are in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
So, but okay, so this is interesting. So there's
Not
no
just
wizard.
BB guns are Red Riders.
You'll shoot your eye out,
You'll
kid.
shoot your eye out.
So, but I like this list a little bit
This
more.
group is probably more like shoot your pecker off.
It's right. So, all right. So, Okay, we're back. Thank you. Thank you.
Reset. All right, back in the game.
So, okay, your Fusilier Major on an Ogre Warhulk is your general. I like that. He's got Master of Ballistics. Obviously, that's going to do something to help increase his shot.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
improve the shot of everybody around him.
All right. Okay. And so your Flagellants, they're over there. They're the perverts that are whipping each other, and they're going to go.
Sanctifying the ground with their blood. They're just
Right.
like it blocks anything coming into the gunners. Give them one more turn to shoot.
Okay.
Or prevent somebody from getting a charge off so they can get a covering fire.
Okay, so let's talk about that here real quick. I mean, obviously using the screen tactic, old tried and true.
Tiny little bit, because chances are, but objectively, nobody's going to want to get anywhere near the Fusiliers, the Cannon, or the Ogre.
Right.
So you're forcing them towards the dwarves, and when they run into the dwarves aren't going.
The hammers, you mean? Yeah,
the
3+
hammers,
save.
Heal,
Right.
You're gonna have the Iron Drake shoot behind them. The Rune Lord can add rend on a prayer, and actually it's something a little bit. He can actually give the prayer to 2 of them if it's not a 10+.
Okay. Interesting.
So both sets of hammers can end up with 2 rend out of the deal.
Okay.
And they got 2 attacks apiece. So on 2 reinforced units of hammers, you're talking about 40 attacks per unit at 2 rend on, I believe, is 4x3s.
Gotcha. And these Fusiliers, I mean, they got 18-inch shot, 2 shots.
Shot.
Because they're
Iron
+3.
Aha, that's right. Yes. I forgot about that. Okay, so 21-inch shot.
And now it's a 27-inch shot on the cannon, plus the Ogre also gets, the little captain on the Ogre with his little sniper rifle thing,
Right.
gets the 27-inch shot as well.
So really,
your hero sniper with them, so they're going to be moving away. So even if you have to leave your fortified position, if you will, they're going to be moving towards the dwarves. Like, well, you know what? I can just take out this regiment of dwarves. And people are, because again, it's something you don't see all the time anymore, because everybody wants to run the humans and the cavalry.
Sure.
You want to run straight human list, which is fine. The cavalry are great on the charge, not much else.
okay. So you're going to be positioned.
Unless you got the Petrifax behind them, which adds the 4-up ward, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So it's funny that you say that most people go towards the dwarves, because in my brain, high risk, high reward, I would go for your gun line. So that's
Sure.
what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
It would suck,
that
but
makes
then once
sense.
I get in there, you're going to have problems.
Well, and so that's once you get in there, I'll have problems. But I got the little bit of flagellants there to kind of slow you down.
Speed
but
bump. There you go.
you
Yeah.
also
Right.
got the because now with covering fire in the Ogre, you can pick 2 units to shoot. So now,
Oh, it's 2 units for
Right.
covering fire.
Yeah, okay.
That's,
There you go.
That's dangerous, yeah.
So that's actually pretty
So-
tasty.
even if you can, assuming you got the movement first turn to get into the combat, if not, I'm getting 2 shots off.
Yeah.
2 shots is all I need because you got to remember they got the rend, they got the range, they got everything else.
Mhm.
Combat, they hit like a wet noodle.
Yeah.
But on the actual shooting, destructive.
But see, I understand what you're doing now. So you got a pretty good balance here of shooting, right? I mean, obviously, and I want to get into that cannon here in a minute because cannons that
Cannon's got grape shot too, so the cannon's
Yeah.
in the back line. So even if you get into one line of the Fusiliers, the other one will be taking the shot next turn, and that cannon with the grape shot is going to tear you apart.
Gotcha. Yeah. So really, you're
Actually, it's -1 to wound too if I'm in a fortified position.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
so no pun intended, but your hammer units are your hammers. You're trying to door sweep your enemy into the hammers.
You want
at
to
some
talk
point.
about telegraphing my move? My hammers are my hammers.
Right, exactly. But so walk me through on your regiment number 1. Obviously, it's run by a Rune Lord. I've always loved that
Well,
that miniature.
second regiment is run by the
Right.
Rune Lord.
Yeah, second regiment. So I've always loved the Rune Lord miniature. I really have. I don't know what it is
The
about
old
that miniature.
dwarves are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and I don't.
Yeah.
I, obviously, the Warden is great too, or Warden King.
Right.
But I can't remember what Belagar from Karakazul,
Yeah.
from the Old World War. That was the original Belagar. model.
Yeah. Right. That's right. That's true.
Was that the guy on the shield?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The
No,
guy
no,
on
no.
The shield was the Thane.
Oh, okay.
Belagar's the guy on the Oath Stone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Iron Drakes. So this is where I'm a little curious. Without a way to get them into position, what is your philosophy with the Iron Drakes just a tougher version of the Fusiliers? Is that what you're trying to do?
It's the point of it being there is if you're gonna run away from the dwarves, at least as they're moving up, they can take some pop shots.
I see.
So,
Okay.
Or if you're going to get in range, you got basically the way you would set it up is you got your 2 units of hammers. There's not enough room to get in between to get to the Iron Drakes, and then you're going to have your Rune Lord coupled in there somewhere where he's cleverly hidden within the actual ranks of themselves.
Got it. I think right now the only deficit I see with the hammers, and of course this is the entire destruction line, is the 4s to hit, but that can be improved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got that. I mean, what's
They
interesting.
got 2 attacks. If you give them,
Right.
if you get the 10 prayer off and they both got the rend, anything that hits is going through.
Right. Right. You know what's interesting to me though is with the hammers. You know, I think the only thing that they really kind of fuck the hammers on is no critical mortals.
Which it would make sense, but they would with the 5-up board they'd be way too nasty. Now I think the Iron Breakers do, so they got a critical mortal. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they do. But they really kind of, to me, they kind of slobbered up the Iron Breakers.
Yeah, no, the Iron Breakers, they can shoot in combat. That's about all they have.
Well, so only the commander can take the,
right.
only the veteran can take
the
pistol, Fire pistols. So one guy can shoot in combat.
Yeah, but they don't have any of the critical stuff. So I guess what I'm getting at.
And again, that was the flair of the old world. That was still in Age of Sigmar. That was fun when you had your Iron Breakers and they had the Cinder Blast Bomb.
Right.
So you had the choice: you can take the pistols or take the Cinder Blast Bomb.
Yep.
And when anybody became within 6 inches of them, you threw the bomb.
Right.
And that was awesome because it could do D6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I mean, I think looking at this list, kind of dissecting a little bit more. So the Rune Lord is your second regiment leader, if you will, and this Brazier of Holy Flame. Talk about that a little bit.
So that's every turn he can bring back 3 slain models within like 12 inches of where he's at. So again, in the event you do manage to kill him with a 3-up save and a 5-up ward, they're coming right back. They're coming right back.
Yeah.
Right. So wherever they go, they are staying.
And that's
so unless you snipe that Rune Lord. And again, I always forget the rules where as long as they're within one of those regiments where you can't hit their heroes, as long as they're within cover of their bodyguard.
Right.
Now it might be worth it then even to switch these so that he can take the bodyguard, so that you can't shoot him. So actually, that's where I messed up in list formation. The human should have been the second regiment. He should have been the first one.
Sure.
As
and then as your general.
As the general, correct.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
That's the mistake I made.
Yeah, I would change it up. I'd make the Rune Lord the general in this one.
Yeah. And then the ogre captain and the marshal on the ogre can take the actual hero traits.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I think in the game right now, I mean, magic is obviously is a big part of it, but I don't see. I mean, I really think magic with the end of spells.
That's the other advantage with Rune Lord is he can unbind one spell.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I think the magic with obviously the endless spells is definitely where it's at. But I don't really think spells are that over the top.
Having it limited to 3 spells for each spell lore or each prayer lore, I feel like can be very limiting, especially if the 3 that you have are not great.
Well, okay.
See, that's what I missed from the old cities.
Yeah, when you have
you had 6 wizards you could choose from. They all had their own individual spell depending on the realm they were from. Mm-hmm. And actually, that was one of the good changes they made. Was you could pick the different. They didn't have to be from the realm that you're playing in, which was a weird component of the game at the time. You could pick the realm they were from, and then you also had the lore that you could pick from.
Yeah.
So you could take, for instance, the old cities. If you had a Huracanum, you could take a hero from Shaman and actually a wizard from Shaman, and then he had the Transmutation of Lead, which was a nasty spell.
Yeah.
You could take one of the Life Wizards. You could take one of the Grey Wizards. Mm-hmm. There was a lot more character flavor to them. And that's what made Magic fun with cities.
Yeah, and I can see, okay, you have your 3 basic spells or whatever, but if they each being able to take each different wizard, each with their own unique spell, like that was something I actually really liked in previous editions. Is a lot of casters would have their own War Scroll spell in addition to the army spells,
mm-hmm.
and I liked that because you could take a certain hero for the spell on their War Scroll. In addition to
like one of the things we used to do in the old cities, you take a Knight Incantor because you had the little Dispel Scroll.
Yeah.
Right.
In conjunction, she got the +1 to cast. So if she was a part of your city as a coalition, she got access to your spell one.
Yeah. Right.
Which was again great because if you absolutely needed it, if you failed your Dispel, bam.
Yep.
Dispel in the bottle, basically.
Well, let's kind of go back to, I mean, and those are all great points, and I love reminiscing about, comparing the old versus the new, compare and contrast there a little bit. But I think I look at Magic the way Magic is now, and again, I'm kind of in the minority again because I was the guy that always liked the initiative role.
Yeah.
And I think this Magic here, I don't like when Magic is over the top. I think a lot of us old gamers can remember what End Times is like.
Yeah.
Even 8th edition. I don't think Magic should be that that insane. I really don't, and I kind of like where it's at.
All kind of component.
Exactly.
Yeah, it should be good in certain armies that's their forte, like Zeech
or Nagash or something like that.
Nagash,
Sure, right.
Sure,
but
you take this army or this
but you're paying
character-
for it.
Yes, but you're paying for it. But yeah,
And then that's where flavor like the automatic dispel once per game, where the Knight and Cantrip could do it, stuff like that, where if you absolutely had to do
Sure.
it. You know what I mean? If it was because it became very situational, but that's what also made the game more fun in that regard.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I just think that I like where Magic is at. I guess that's my whole point. I mean, the endless spell thing, even in the beginning of 4.0, that was a little bananas.
Yeah.
Endless spells being free, that's really never bothered me. I kind of like what they did to kind of temper some things. But I even think now, like, my last couple of games, out of I don't know how many casts that my opponents had between both games, the endless spells only came out once. So it's not like they're, you got to think it's still dice, and the endless spells aren't making it out on the table either via Dispel, fucked up dice roll, or Bellicor.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of things that, when you really get into the meat and potatoes of the game, there's a lot of balance about Magic. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing you did, Dustin. So I wasn't just like being, confronted, but I'm of the other point of view where I like where Magic is at. I don't like it being overpowered. I didn't like it back then, and even like early AOS, but I like where it's at now.
And yeah, I do like where it's at now. I just like having variety. I mean, the three spells that Darv's King have, for example, they all have a use, and I'm going to use all three spells.
Right.
But that said, there were some more situational spells that I would still use, and it was nice having the option to do that, especially if you have Marathi who can have 3 casts.
Sure.
But one of the best changes I think that they did was, okay, we each only have 3 spells, but then you have your unlimited spell.
Okay. Right.
Which is for cities is lightning bolt, which because that was my kind of thing. I'm like, where's all the damage spells that like Cities of Sigmar had, and it's like lightning bolt. Anyone can cast it, and it's unlimited.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do though with Cities of Sigmar, because I think one of the most characterful things that they did was having the individual wizards for each school of Magic, and kind of taking that away.
Yeah,
you had 6 different wizards you could pick from originally.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, and it kind of took it away. So.
But there's something about this list. Okay, so I do agree with you. Let's kind of go back to the list here. I do agree with you that flipping the second regiment with the first one is the right idea. I think making the Rune Lord your general is how you're going to do it. And I kind of like this list without the magic. I really do. Now, I don't know what this would do if somebody threw, Crown Spine on I don't know what that would do to you. But I mean, you can't build a list around every single variable and scenario that's going to happen to every opponent. But when you build this list, because I do this sometimes.
But
a lot of
the
people.
Nice thing is with the, I guess one of the other things you could possibly do is take one of those heroes that has the banishment to them, like where they can shoot and banish the spells,
right?
Hunters and stuff like that. But again, it's very situational.
Sure.
Like we said, the endless spells come out so rare, and again with this list now, because of the distance, it's the most that they're gonna to get it within range. They're gonna have to move up because they're gonna have a maximum of 12 inches away from the caster, or 12 to 8 inches away. If you move up with the Iron Weld, I'm going to hit you with the cannon, hit you with the sniper. So if you do get that manifestation off, and I kill your wizard, that manifestation goes away.
Yeah.
Sure.
Under
Aha.
the new rules.
Okay. All right. So, and when you're talking 21 or 27 inches.
22, so your 2 main shots where you're going to be hero sniping, they're both 27 inches. So if you don't hit... So
I think the old boy's onto something.
So now
again, another crazy bill list.
We'll see.
Well, so here's my question. So let's. Well, you don't want to do another Beastman thing because that fucked you up for a long time. What they did. I mean, I'm wondering if the dwarves are going to get the old Shandolar, the dark elves are going to get the old Shandolar. Are they going to say, okay, you got one more year like they did with the Beast of Chaos?
They're probably going to, if they don't just nerf it or tear it apart in a book. I can see that happening.
I mean,
so I don't think they're going to, because they're not going to necessarily legend the army, but they're going to legend a chunk of the army.
Yes,
sure.
They did that.
They just came out with the Dawnbringer models, like what, a year or two ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Dawnbringer models is where the army is going.
Yes,
where
correct.
it's a human-based army.
Correct.
Because again, in the lore, they carry the giant floating rocks. They're dragging them to establish the new cities.
Yeah.
Reclaim the lost cities from the War of Chaos or the Chaos War.
Right.
Yep,
right. Sure. But like when I build lists, I usually think, or I try to, when I'm not fucking it up because I want to play something I like. But when I actually build a list, you know what? Let me park this whole fucking train here for a second and explain that one. That Nobbler list was one of the Nobbler list
drive the train.
Was one of the greatest lists ever.
I mean, yes, it was. Considering you converted your general to be on a giant toilet. So
yes, exactly.
It has defined your gaming career.
Yes. Yeah, it was. So you guys want to apologize now? You couple of pricks.
Hey, I'm not bad mouthing
all right.
Nobblers.
All right,
you want to
sorry.
the Nobbler, the giant toilet?
I'm a little touchy.
We're just admitting.
I even modeled a little turd in the toilet.
Yeah.
With corn.
Eventually, you'll be able to find those photos at sigmarsingles.com.
That's right. So, all right. So before we move on to our next commercial, I want to say this. So, when I build a list, I look at it from two different avenues: battle tactics, and who really is my predominant opponent. Did you do that when you built this list, or did you just say, "Hey, there's something that could"?
This is a general catch-all, because no matter who the opponent is, it's the same thing. They're going to want to be away from the guns. They're going to get forced into the dwarves, or they're just going to try and tag points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. And again, based on the firepower from the guns, let's say, because obviously the top tier one right now is Nighthawk.
Sure.
Doesn't matter if there's no Ren on the guns; it's irrelevant. It's a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So, punches and bunches, right? Yeah.
It's the way of dice. So they're going to move towards the dwarves, which again is fine. The dwarves have the ward, so it's better, which is even again their ward's better than faceless minions. They got a 6 up, dwarves got a 5 up.
5 up, yeah.
So you deal with somebody that gets rid of your ward.
Well, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But I mean, again,
usually most of the anti-war stuff's for one unit at a time.
Correct.
Yeah. But you're right. I like how this list is kind of like a catch-all in some ways. And again, you can't build it for everyone. Okay, you're going to have those armies that can turn off your ward, and you have those things that can do that to you.
Just the army by itself, like if you entered it into a tournament, I mean that this can handle multiple threats.
Well, that is something you're not going to see. So the thing of it being there is, again, I hate to even be that guy, but when you're playing tournament play, not everybody's going to know your army, and you're going to explain it right off the get-go. At least that's the way I do it. Because they always ask you, what do I got to look out for? This is what this does. It's bad. You don't want to be here for this. This is how this is going to happen. This is how this goes. This is what it is. And then people are going to forget. It's going to happen, and they're going to go, oh, you did it.
And Bill, that's probably why you're a nice guy, because I always struggle with that. And I know I'm taking a left turn at Albuquerque again, but like at a tournament play, it's one thing like if we're at a war meet where a bunch of us club mates are around and we're just having fun or whatever, to say, okay, what do I got to be worried about? But do you guys really do that in a tournament? Do you guys?
I mean, all the time. I don't ever want anybody to come back and say, hey, that was bullshit.
I'm going to say I do that too. Not like I'm a complete prick, but I'm always like, why are you giving away the goods?
Yeah, my thing is I will.
I don't know. Maybe I'm saying I like what you do, but
I'll explain exactly what my list does and like all the abilities, but. Also, I don't want to give away my tricks either.
Sure.
So, like, I'm not gonna surprise, my opponent with, oh, here's this ability that you didn't know I can do. It's like, no, I'm gonna explain it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna tell you how I'm gonna use them.
Yeah, I've never really known how to handle that.
You tell them exactly what it is, exactly how it's used, but I don't say how I'm going to use it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So, for instance, if they say, well, what do you got to look out for? Well, to be honest, these two models shoot 27 inches. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
So in this,
what do they hit on? Well, 4x3s. So
Okay, so in this list you have here, because this is actually a pretty tempting list. I like this. So in this, and it's different. It's something that's I feel it's different.
Anvil has both.
Yeah. So no matter which way you move, you're gonna get moved into a gun line. You're gonna get moved into a bunch of angry dwarves.
Yep, and that's a good list. Yeah.
So who would you say is an easy mark for this list, and who would you say you might have trouble with?
So the issue of it being there is this is again. Movement wins against this list. So if you have a cavalry heavy list,
right?
If they can maneuver around behind my lines, there's not much I can do about that.
Yeah.
But now, even that being said, I could basically do a Tostido style formation with my units as I move them to help shield against some of that.
Right. So I mean, your Fusiliers, your each one in a unit is, they're shooting by 4x4s. So you got 10 models in the unit, though, and they're reinforced. That's 20 shots, 4x4s, two a piece, though. Shit, no. Not at all. Not even close.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is with the Ogre, the Marshal on the Ogre,
right.
if you pick an all-out attack, you can actually duplicate it. The same thing for the.
Is it just one unit or like 3 units?
So no, I'm sorry, it's 3 units.
Yeah, that's really good.
Right.
Right.
All
So
of
you
your guys
do
are hitting.
Fusiliers and cannon.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
now they all get the +1 to the attacks. You're hitting on 3x4s.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think interestingly enough, it's a different enough list. The Rune Lord can dispel. And I think your opponent is going to have some real choices they're going to have to make. No doubt about it.
Multi-threat.
Well, so the problem is if they say like, hey, because obviously they're going to see it, I'm going to deploy it 2 different sides of the field.
Yeah.
So if they say, hey, I'm going to take out one or the other, you're either running into a gun line where it's going to be a nasty level of gunfire, or you're going to try to take out the dwarves, and with the ward and being able to bring models back, it's going to be really hard to get rid of them. So if you separate your army to try and take out one or the other, you're done.
Sure. So my question:
they can stand on their own.
What is your thought with the cannon, though? With the cannon that you have in the list, obviously you're going to traditionally place that, right in the middle of the field or right in the middle of both your units, or is that going to be pretty much? To me, that's really the weight of the pendulum of the army.
You got your 2 Fusilier lines.
Right.
You got your ogre. You got your cannon behind one of them because again, you want to make sure you're close enough for that shot, and you got your flagellants moving around,
Gotcha.
tagging objectives, screening out a little bit of the fire there.
Gotcha. Okay.
The dwarves basically move in a triangle or a straight up tuxedo formation. They're coming down the field, so you can't get to the warden or the iron drakes. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the Rune Lord or the iron drakes.
No, I definitely like the list, man. Anything to add on the list, Dustin?
No, I think it's pretty solid. It looks interesting enough that I would actually like to go against it, despite it shooting being the answer to most melee armies. But like, I would like to play against this because it looks challenging.
It's one of the weird advantages having the Iron Weld as well, because now with 12 and 18 being your standard shots, they get that one extra shot right off the get-go before anybody else does.
Sure.
So if it's shot for shot, the double shots, and then they all get 3x4 now, and at 21 inches, it's killer.
Gotcha. All right, good. All right, man, Bill, good job, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the list. All right, we'll be right back.
I bet you didn't know that watching paint dry could be more thrilling than this. Meet Slaphead and Booger Boy, the dynamic duo that puts the meh in commentary. These two are so clueless they make your grandma's knitting club sound like a rock concert. Need a distraction during a prostate exam? These guys have got you covered. Slaphead's got the IQ of a potato, and Booger Boy's humor, well, let's just say a knock-knock joke would be too advanced. Their passion, it's like watching water boil, except the water's not even room temperature. So if you're looking for a surefire way to catch some Z's or just need background noise that makes you appreciate silence, tune in to Slaphead and Booger Boy. Because hey, someone's got to be the worst. Voiceover hook, subscribe now or don't. We really don't care.
All right, we're back after that one. So yeah, Bill, great list, man. That actually gave me a lot to think about. Behind the commercial, we were talking about how would you deal with that, and Dustin, you were just saying as a Daughters of Cain player.
I'm already thinking of ways and how would I deal with this, and at least the first thing I think of is because I like playing Calibron or Shadow Patrol, whatever they call it now.
Right.
But being able to teleport a unit, first chance I get. Like, I'm going to teleport a unit behind you to try and outflank you.
See, but they're in my part of your problem. Can you transport anywhere on the board?
Yep. Well, outside of 9, though. See, which obviously you're going to deploy in such a way.
Because now I've got the extra 3 inches to the shot. I can deploy spread out just enough to where it's too difficult for you to get in. So, but if you want to try and jump somebody to the front line, I still have to counterfire.
Yeah, and so, again, shooting against Daughters of Cain is rough because they're a low armor army, but it's great though because I have in Daughters of Cain I have the movement to outmaneuver you.
Mm-hmm. And so, that's the only real weakness here.
Yeah, and so that's something to exploit, but that's hard because you have that extra range and I'm going to be getting shot the whole time, and so.
Yeah, and
I would have to find a weak point and then just start hammering it.
It seems to me that this list is a late round list.
Yes.
Like I really think that this is. I think your first and second round might be givers to your opponent.
So, and that's one of the again with the new 4.0. It's one of the things you got to consider. You're not going to get all your battle tactics, but you will get your round 3, round 4, round 5 points when they don't have an army.
Yeah, I would say that this is it fair to say that this would be a slow starter army, but it's going to make up for it in pretty short order. I would think.
Typical slow burn castle army.
Yeah, because if you can last till turn 5, and your opponent doesn't have an army left, okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay that you didn't get 3 battle tactics if you have all the points, all the objectives.
Right, that's the nice thing about fortifying too. Let's say they go towards the dwarves on one side, you can move up, potentially seize the point,
and then hunker down.
Now you're fortified, -1 to wound.
Right, right. Well, good stuff, Bill. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
All right, guys. Have a great Tuesday. Have a great week. And remember, man, get out there and roll those dice and win some games. And we'll see y'all next week.
Slay the Gray. Good day.
Good night, guys.
Take care.
Grimdark Live would like to thank you for slumming through another show with us for all things dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf in the Warhammer worlds. We'll be back again real soon, so until then, roll them dice, fun and fair, and don't be a frickin' short pants. You can get your Grimdark Live fix on our live show or catch us on our Grimdark Live podcast. Never fear, gang. There'll be more great content from Grimdark Live coming to you each and every week. So stay tuned and stay grim, all you dice-chucking, glue-sniffing gamer goons. You're all awesome.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
Remember to embrace the main message here on Grimdark Live, and that's a social contract we have between gamers and the commitment we have to each other in this community. We're only as good as our last game. Check us out on grimdarklive.com, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, and recommend Grimdark Live to your friends. So long, Grimdark Goons. Until next time, may the dice gods bless you and your sweaty palms. Bye.